DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. PK is with BYU, the SMU game tonight in Dallas. And we are joined, once again, by Kevin Graham, longtime sports radio host here, and our friend for a couple of decades or more. Kevin, good morning. I was just doing the math. I was just doing the math on that, Kevin. Uh-oh.
Don't age us, all right? I think we're very young at heart. You know? I mean, it has been a couple decades. You're exactly right. But, oh, man. Gentlemen, good morning. How are you? Football Friday. You got to love it.
Well, why don't we start off with the NFL opener? The Chiefs won at home. Of course they did. I don't know what happened last year. I guess nobody's perfect, but they bounced back. The Ravens are still very good. Lamar Jackson couldn't hit two open receivers when he had a chance. Yeah. The third throw was the most difficult one, and that's the one he completed, but a toenail. They lost by a toenail.
I know. You know what? I was listening to you guys last segment, and and PK was right. I mean, first off, how great is the NFL when it comes to quality play in the field? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I have no life, so all I did, I watched week 0, and in week 1 of college football, I probably watched like 50-plus games. And then when I watched that NFL game last night, like, you saw it, like, within minutes. You're like, oh, man, like, to see the speed, to see the hits, to see the physicality, just the strategy. I mean, and I love college football. It's 1A and 1B for me, and everything about college football and the atmosphere and everything else is so outstanding. But, man, the quality of play on the field is just no difference. And obviously you're looking at two of the elite teams in the league as well. But to your point, DJ, you're exactly right. The thing about Jackson is the guy is just phenomenal. I mean, you watch him play. In fact, we were watching two of the most exciting quarterbacks, maybe in all time, playing on the field last night. But the thing with Jackson, is that you've got to make the play. And that's the difference between Mahomes and Jackson. I mean, even when Mahomes has a bad throw where the ball's tipped, somehow he makes the play by catching his own pass to prevent an interception, and keep the Ravens, from getting a turnover. I mean, the dude's unbelievable. And when it comes to Jackson, man, it's so weird. Like the one thing you talked about, the two missed throws and Flowers wide open in the end zone, and he's 5 yards. The pass is 5 yards off to him. But then the last play of the game where he's just running around and avoiding sack after sack to throw the ball like he did and to just miss the touchdown by completing a beautiful pass and miss it by just, the toe is just, it's amazing what he can do. But until he gets over the top and becomes a Mahomes and actually winning these critical elite games, it's just not there. I was reading a little bit today about this. Think about this, guys. He ran for 122 yards, which is unbelievable. I mean, just again, although you have Derrick Henry, you should be giving him the ball more. That's my own personal opinion. But he became the third all-time rushing quarterback leader, of all time. Who is he behind? Cam Newton and Michael Vick. What do all three of those quarterbacks have in common? No Super Bowls. And until one of these, dynamic quarterbacks, Cam Newton, in all fairness, did get to a Super Bowl but lost. But until one of these quarterbacks get over the hump, these guys are so dynamic that are some of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time and still great NFL quarterbacks. Until they can get to that next level and win a game like that last night, or get to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl, it's unfortunately it's going to diminish him just a tad. He's always going to be looked at as one of the greatest ever, but he's got to get over the top, in my opinion.
Belichick, Brady versus Reed, Mahomes. Who you taking?
Oh, man. Well, as you guys know, I'm very biased as a Jets fan. I could not stand Belichick and Brady, although they're very likable once they left New England or went out to the NFL. But I think I'm taking Reed and Mahomes. If you look at the statistics, especially in Mahomes compared to Brady, I think Mahomes got a shot. He could be the GOAT, and some consider him the GOAT already, as long as he can stay healthy. I just think, wow, that's such an awesome question. I will go Mahomes Reed. I just think the strategy, I think the quality of play and the parity of the NFL, during this era of Mahomes, at a higher level than what the Patriots were going through in the early years as much. I would go there and how impressive they are to be able to win. I mean, hell, last year Kansas City wasn't even that good for half the season. You know, they were amongst the middle of the pack, it seemed like, and then they stepped it up and did what necessary to win another Super Bowl. So I would go those two.
I'm a little disappointed. I thought you'd say Patriots if they get to watch practice the day before.
You know what? Great point, DJ. You're right. They did cheat. So, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about that. But, you know, it's okay. You know, Michigan won a national title last year by cheating, and it's all good. And I rooted for Michigan, so we're okay.
I did see someone say if Connor Stallion still worked at Michigan, he would have bought tickets to the CSU-Texas game. That was good. I like that.
You guys watch that documentary? That documentary on Netflix was phenomenal. I mean, it was really good. And honestly, it almost was like a comedy. Like the fact that Connor Stallions, A, denied it all and was going to get away with it, and B, just how he pulled off what he did. All you could do is sit there and laugh, and almost it gives him hero status, to be honest with you.
I do think the thing with Andy Reid and Mahomes is that Mahomes got to Reid too late in Andy's career. The age difference just doesn't quite – I just don't see how they're going to have enough years together to get to 7 Super Bowl titles and 10 Super Bowl appearances. It's a little bit like the Kyle Whittingham situation. I don't know how long Andy's going, and I don't know how long Kyle is going. But at the point they are, and people have speculated about both of them for a while, and it's probably sooner, not later, although I wouldn't put a single dollar on what either guy is going to do. So I guess it could keep going, but it doesn't seem like it. It seems like they're pretty close to the end here.
You know, I mean, common sense-wise, you're right. But if I'm Andy Reid and I have Patrick Mahomes, you know, arguably the GOAT, I'm going to keep coaching as long as I'm alive. I mean, if you got to wheel me out in a wheelchair or I'm on my final days of bed rest or whatever, you know, just wheel me out there because you'll keep winning. You might as well. But I think you're right. And in the whole scheme of things, because of the Belichick factor and the longevity, I mean, those two may go down as the best duo, but don't count out Mahomes as going down as the best quarterback to ever play.
Yeah, I don't understand that reasoning, though, because we're so quick to anoint Jordan as the greatest basketball player. Well, he doesn't have the most titles. Why don't we consider Bill Russell having the most titles? Why in football do we automatically go just to it's a mathematical number? It's not about talent and all that stuff and everything that goes into it. We just go right to those two guys because they've won the most, but we're not going to do it for Mahomes and Reid if they get 1 or 2 more or 3 more, whatever it is, but come up shorter than Belichick, Brady. But yet we don't do that in basketball. That's confusing to me.
Otto Graham isn't getting his due. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I think that. I think it's history, and I think less players. You know, in the NFL, you know, look at Jim Brown. I mean, he's considered one of the greatest of all time, but he's not the greatest of all time, and he didn't play as long. So I think, you know, I think there's something to that as well. That just you know, the level of competition, the amount of players that are involved, you know, and there's just so many players and so many different teams and so many different eras that seem to kick in. You know, I just think football is looked at a little differently.
All right, let's get to it. Your Jets, double digits, get 10 wins, get you to the playoffs. 11 won the AFC East last year. Well, it tied 2 teams. I guess Miami didn't win it because Buffalo had the tiebreaker with 11 wins. But can your Jets do it? 10, 11, or 12? Aaron Rodgers, for real, what's happening?
On paper, gentlemen, they can. I mean, they do have, you know, one of the best defenses in the league. And the fact that they won 7 games last year with Zach Wilson, who couldn't complete a flat pass or a pass out in the flat or even a screen pass at the time. Now, again, they had no offensive line. You know, I think I said this to you guys when I've been on before. If Rodgers would have played behind that offensive line last year, you know, and he wouldn't have got hurt in 4 plays, he would have been hurt probably on the 6th or 7th play. I mean, they couldn't block anybody. They have a good offensive line now. Rodgers appears to be healthy. They have weapons. You know, Mike Williams can come back, your former Charger, if he can get in there and play anywhere near his abilities coming off the injury. He adds a dynamic to go along with Garrett Wilson. And Hall, Breece Hall he's great. He's going to be, he could be the best running back in the league this year as a dual threat too. He's a 3-down back. So it's all set up, DJ, for them to do it. You know, it's the wild card factor. It's the jinx It's, what's going to happen? What's going to go wrong? Who's going to get injured? What controversy is going to happen? What player is going to punch another player in the locker room, which happened to Geno Smith a few years ago when he was with the Jets several years ago. I mean, you just don't know with this team, and I've watched this team, and I've been a fan since I was 5 years old, and so, it's what's going to happen. I mean, hell, it took Aaron Rodgers to go into the dark for a week and to emerge from darkness to decide he wanted to play for the Jets. So, I mean, even when we get a Hall of Fame quarterback, he has to go dark to make that determination, which is weird in itself. So, I want to say they're going to get there. I think the Dolphins and the Bills have gone backwards a little bit in various areas. The Patriots are going to suck, which I'm really excited about. I really am going to enjoy watching them get just hammered probably for the next, 20 years like it used to be before Belichick and Brady got there. I think they're sitting there. What I'm very scared about is so-called experts are predicting them to get to the Super Bowl, which, I thought about that, thinking, man, it'd be great to get to the Super Bowl. But I can't put myself there. So, as usual, I'm going to put my expectations low. I'm going to get very excited at times like an idiot, and then I'm probably going to get disappointed. But on paper, they should win the AFC East, and they should be a factor in the playoffs. But let's wait and see. How's that for a doomsday, high-end, exciting prediction there, right?
Yeah, I'm not so sure that I expect Buffalo to backslide enough to where the Jets can catch them, though.
I think they can. I mean, it's going to take them a while. After week one, the beautiful thing about the NFL, you only get 17 weeks, and so after week one, they blow this completely out of the water. But, Allen doesn't have the weapons he had. Defensively, I don't think they're going to be as strong. Miami has lost some personnel, too, so I think they're back. But, I think we'll wait and see. I mean, the Jets did get the Bills last year. It was the opener, of course, and they did get the win with Zach Wilson at quarterback after Rodgers went down in 4 plays. So then they lost to Buffalo later in the year. But the Jets' defense is that good. I mean, if they can stay healthy, even without Reddick, who's still holding out like an idiot, I think they're going to be all right. I think they can. I think they can take the Bills. I really do.
Niners have one more shot at this. You think they can do it? They've had the holdouts. They've got everybody signed, but you got the Lions and Packers over here. Maybe we'll all be impressed by the Eagles. Maybe the Cowboys will finally get there, or Niners. What do you think?
Again, as I was looking at the NFC, I'm like, all right, who can beat the Niners? And, the popular pick is the Lions. Well, my brother's a Lions fan. Great family we have. I blame my parents. My brother's a Lions fan. I'm a Jets fan. So, again, you want to talk about a franchise that's jinxed. The Lions are up and coming. The Lions have talent. Dan Campbell deserves a ton of credit. Dan Campbell, though, also makes dumb decisions, like continue to go for it on 4th down. Let's face it, if he didn't go for it on 4th down twice in the game last year against the Niners, the Lions are in the Super Bowl. So if he can smarten up a little bit on game strategy, then, and I know that's his MO to go for it, but, the Lions can be there because they do have an upgrade on defense. But ultimately, the most talented team is, it's the 49ers. So, I think, I think it's hard to basically go and say, you know what, Chiefs and Niners. They're the 2 best teams on paper. They're the 2 best teams on the field. Until someone can knock them off, I think you got to look at that. I think the biggest challenge of the Niners is, to keep their players healthy and keep out the city of San Francisco so none of them get shot, and I think they'll be okay. And by the way, I will be at this game on Monday night, Jets-Niners. So that's one of my goals. If I can avoid getting shot and avoid getting beat up, I'm looking forward to having a very enjoyable Monday night game. I lived in San Francisco for 2 years. I have a right to be able to say this.
Don't get shot or beat up. We want to have you back on the air next week.
But you know what? If I do get shot, I'll do it. I'll do it from the hospital bed if I survive.
If we have to wheel you out on the gurney you were trying to reserve for Andy Reid, we want you on here next week.
I know. This is why you have me on, guys. I bring light. I bring happiness every Friday now. I'm so excited for this.
I don't know if Purdy's good enough to go all the way, though. I know it's been a cute story, but I don't know that I believe in him.
That is still the debate here in NorCal. Like, again, whether Purdy can get the job done, and it's fair. He hasn't yet. But, man, he's good, and he's got a great offensive line, especially Williams coming back. He's got every weapon a quarterback can want and need with the best running back. arguably the best wide receiving duo, arguably one of the best tight ends. I mean, it's sitting there for them. So, you know what, DK, I do agree with you. If they don't get it done this year, it's going to be really interesting what the Niners do, especially if it falls on Purdy, because he's on a rookie contract. Another reason why the Niners are so good and have some of the best players in the league, particularly on one side of the ball, is because they're paying Purdy like $700,000 or whatever the rookie contract is right now. So, who was a sixth round, the last pick in the draft. So they have the luxury to be able to spend money on all these players because Purdy is being paid like a sixth round draft pick. Next year, it'll be interesting as his rookie deal's coming up, what the Niners decide to do. And you know what, PK, that's a great point. If he doesn't get it done this year, I will be curious to see what San Francisco decides to do at quarterback and what they do for the long term.
Well, I know he's got to measure up to Joe Montana and Steve Young, but Steve Young was like 85 starts deep or something like that by the time he got to the Super Bowl. Let's see, we're 21 starts deep with Purdy, so 38 if he plays every regular season game.
Yep.
So I get that they have to make the decision, and I get the impatience. It's part of why the Niners have been to so many Super Bowls and won so many Super Bowls. There's high standards, and they got to meet them. But it's still so early with this guy.
I know. I mean, I would give up my right arm if the Jets could get to a Super Bowl, even if they lost at this point in my life. So, let's keep the theme going of health.
Right.
But Niner fans, they got a ton of Super Bowls, and that's what they expect. Getting a Super Bowl is great, but winning a Super Bowl is what Young got there, and Young won. Purdy's gotten there, and he hasn't won yet, and that's the difference. Fan expectations, man. I mean, wherever you go, the expectations are always different. Look at Lions fans last year. I mean, they were in heaven last year because they won a division and got the AFC championship or the NFC championship game. And even when they lost, they were okay. And why? Because expectations are terrible there. But you go to San Francisco, teams that win, man, that fan base, they're spoiled. And that's why I'm going to take great pleasure in watching the Patriots suck for the next 20 years, because those arrogant fans, particularly the younger generation, all they know is Super Bowl wins. And it's going to be fun watching them be in misery to the point where they'll eventually not go to the games anymore. It's just different where you live and what the expectations are of your chosen team.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. In one of your 73 stops in radio, didn't you work in Boston when they were winning? How did you handle that?
I didn't handle it well, PK. What I did handle well is the Deflategate was happening, and we were getting huge ratings because of that. So that was good for job security, so I was okay there. But, yeah, I did not handle well. When I go to Jets games, I went to every Jets game the 3 years I was there. I would not put on Jets gear. But they don't really hate Jets fans there when they're in their winning ways, PK. They just kind of pat you on the head. It's even worse. They kind of like, oh, you poor little Jets. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh, they would put me on the air, and they would expect me to, try to talk trash. And I'm like, dude, you guys are going to kill us. And they're like, yeah, we know, but, you poor little Jets fan. And, I mean, I found a Jets bar, and I'm telling you guys, I'm not kidding. There was a Jets bar at an Irish bar in the city in Boston, and literally it was in the basement. So the upper floor was regular fans and stuff, and there was this hidden entrance, and you went down these stairs, and there in the basement were us 20 or 30 poor Jets fans, being able to watch our Jets play. And it's kind of sad, actually. So, yeah. Another good memory.
Well, we'll talk to you again next week. You'll have no left arm. You'll be on a gurney. I don't know what else will go wrong, but no, they can't make a Super Bowl the next week. You won't give up your left arm to go to a Super Bowl.
Well, I may be in the hospital if I don't survive the Monday night game in San Francisco.
All right.
You're right. I'll be all right. Yeah. All right. Hey, guys, thank you for having me on this 1 week, and you enjoy the rest of the season.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin.
Love you guys.
Niner game's way down in Santa Clara. It's a totally different deal. Come on now. It's not like he's going to a Giants game, PK.
About safety?
Yeah. Santa Clara is like 35 miles south of where all the everything's going wrong in San Francisco.
Kevin Graham is an imposing figure, though.
It just intimidate the bad guys away. I heard his shrill, whiny voice, and I ran the other way. DJ and PK, when we come back, everything you missed in this show next. Stay with us.